Hello and welcome to episode 2 of The Grid. This show has the natural speed of a cheetah, the power of a grizzly bear, the efficiency of a shark, the roar of a lion and the grip of a tenacious flea. It's about motorsport. Thank you very much for joining us. In many ways I like to think of this as a Speeder's Digest. And joining me in my Speeder's Digest studio here at Sports Tonight Live is Kevin Shepherd.
Speeder's Digest.
Well, that's good.
I've got Speeder's Wives on my brain now.
Oh man, that's an entirely different website. So welcome Kevin, have you had a good week?
I've had a great week, yeah, thanks. Okay. I stayed up very late to watch the NASCAR.
Oh, someone had to.
Yeah. Why? Anyway, no, well, there's not.
There was lots of fascinating action in tiny short bursts, which we
10
will
minutes
talk about.
of it.
We'll be talking about that a bit more in a minute. But first of all, let's bring you up to speed with stuff that's happened. First up on the agenda is rain. It's not just cricket or tennis that gets affected by cloud-based precipitation. All disciplines of motorsport have been affected by the rain. The Daytona 500, as we saw, was delayed by a day and a half. A stage of the IRC in the Azores was cancelled because of too much rain, and they're rally cars. And it's been too wet in Sepang for full MotoGP testing. So rain, and not in the UK for a change.
Yeah, what's going on? And in Bournemouth, in the Sunseeker, was it sunny?
It was sunny.
It was sunny.
Hosepipe ban. This country, nowhere else in the world. Second on up to speed is motorsport in the movies. Now we've had Senna, TT3D and Cars 2. And right now, I'm very excited by this, Ron Howard is at Brands Hatch making his 70s Formula One film Rush, which is a kind of recreation of the rivalry between James Hunt and Niki Lauda. Now this, you may not know, was the first film that Ron Howard ever directed back in the 70s, Grand Theft Auto. Now this obviously spawned an entire franchise of video games, but he directed that. His fascination with cars goes back to his Happy Days. What I was thinking is that for the poster of Rush, because it's sort of the dramatic centrepiece of it, obviously as loud as Fireball Crash, he hardly needs to change the poster at all.
No, I mean, you could probably Photoshop the hair out.
So, but I have to say it is very exciting, and they're recreating the 70s Formula One races and look. So if you follow @RealRonHoward on Twitter, he's posting some brilliant pictures, and I think Stephen Mangan is playing a part in him. I'm ever so slightly jealous that he got a part in it, and I didn't. And third,
just like him.
Yeah. And third on our up to speed is the brilliant Brad Keselowski, who tweeted a picture during the race.
That was him during the race.
Yeah, he just got up and had a walk around. So you watched it?
I watched it, yeah. It was the talk of the track for tweeting, and all the drivers were mocking him for tweeting during the race. But what's amazing is they're allowed to carry a phone in their car.
But they carry everything in the car, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, except for a picnic. They were asking for some grits and some food halfway through. I don't know what that was about, but yeah, they're allowed to carry baseball caps, things. It's obviously nothing to do with weight. They don't have any issues there.
But the funny thing is that I think it was after Montoya's crash, and Brad, by the way, Brad Keselowski is the most American NASCAR name imaginable.
He sounds like an American cop. Keselowski!
Yeah.
He's a cop that doesn't play by the rules.
Yeah. Give me a badge. He won't be disciplined. He tweeted a picture of the queue behind the fireball from the cockpit of his car during the race.
Presumably he knew no one was hurt at this point. He just it's my
you
picture.
Hope, yeah. But he did. He did. By the time the race had finished, he had gained 100,000 followers.
Yeah, I was one of them.
You were one of them. I was one of them. So the point is, if you do get stuck on the motorway
and you can see
just tweet that, and you would instantly gather followers. So that's the up to speed at the beginning of this show. By the way, this show is very much about you getting involved. So if you've got anything you want to tell us about motorsport in your world, then tweet us at @STL_TheGrid, and we will incorporate you into our show and maybe get you on our Skype wall. Talking of Skype wall, Kevin, we should have a guest ready for us now.
Seamless.
Oh, he's on the phone. It doesn't have Skype available to him.
Not so seamless.
Not so seamless. But on the phone, we should have Andrew van der Burgt. Are you there, Andrew?
I am.
Hello, Andrew. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Where exactly are you? Because we can't see you on Skype, so we have to imagine where you are.
Okay, well that's fine. I mean, I think if you picture a nice green place with some trees, you'll be pretty close.
Narnia.
Wow. Sounds nice. What are you wearing?
Spikes and a fleece.
Wow.
Spikes and a fleece.
S&M.
Or ice rallying. So Andrew, you were covering the Daytona 500 at the weekend. Tell us all about it. Tell us the high points, and also because of the delay, it meant some pretty sort of antisocial hours.
Yeah, for the first time in its 54-year history, Daytona 500 didn't happen on Sunday. I'm sure you saw the pictures, but when we got there on Sunday morning, my heart sank because it was already drizzling a little bit. Lenny Kravitz came on and played his little set, and literally as he finished and they started introducing the drivers, the heavens just opened, and I knew that was it, game over for the day, but they kept us waiting there for another 4 hours before it was finally red flagged, and invited us all back on Monday, initially at midday, and then finally at 7 o'clock when it kicked off and ran well into the night. So, yeah, a bit of an exhaustive procedure. But
are you actually blaming Lenny Kravitz for the rain? Did you think he made it happen?
But I mean, it's a phenomenal place. But you could see why, certainly on the Sunday, that rain was just so heavy. You know, sometimes I think people are a bit harsh on NASCAR drivers if they don't race in the rain. There's no way you could have got a race going around there in those conditions.
And the race did eventually get underway, and big news in the States because, of course, that meant it sort of went prime time on a Monday, and sort of a lot more people were alerted to it, even though it's already a very big thing in the States. Give us a rundown of the race. You watched it, Kevin?
I watched it. Yeah, I watched the whole 6 hours. 6 hours. I'll never get back. Yeah.
Well, you probably had a better idea of what was going on than I did. But to be honest, I mean, the sort of the headline stories were obviously Montoya crashing into that track dryer and it exploding and melting the track, and then basically at the end we were all expecting that the pack racing was going to mean that ultimately they split up into two-car tandems and that would be the way to win the race. But when it boiled down to it, Matt Kenseth had enough pace on his own to just sort of run away at the front, which was complete turn-up. Hadn't happened in any of the support races, and wasn't what we expected to see. But yeah, good effort to him. Second 500 win, and the other one came in a race shortened by rain as well. So he's obviously a bit of a specialist in those conditions.
I've got a question. This is my first NASCAR race, and I did find parts of it quite dull. Was this an exciting race?
That happens. Yeah, they've got a bit of a problem at the moment, and they've got an aging audience, and they're trying how to engage the younger followers. But the format they have for the races of them going on for 3, sometimes 4 hours, with the middle part of the race essentially counting for very little, other than just you're basically working out whether the tyres last a run or whether you can take 2 or 4, and then it all boils down to what happens in the final 10 minutes. So the previous 3 hours and 50 have been wasted, and I think a lot of people struggle with that element of it.
Thank goodness.
And I think for us watching, I didn't stay up to watch the whole of it, but I've seen sort of highlights, is the combination of tandem racing and pack racing. Now, tandem does seem very strange because they're kind of drafting each other. The combined 2 cars can go slightly faster than a car on its own, but they're not teammates. Yeah. Explain a little bit about how do they actually decide who they're going to draft, or does it just happen sort of almost by accident?
Well, they changed the rules this year because they used to have you could turn the knob on their radio in the cockpit so they could talk to other cars. Right. And so, firstly, the most of them have sometimes 2 or 3, so they'll be your most likely drafting partner, as they call them. It's just who you happen to be with on the track, and some drivers are friends, like Tony Stewart and Dale Earnhardt. Generally, they get together. But it's pretty much, there's generally marriages conveniences. So you'll see a Chevy with a Ford, a Toyota with a Dodge, and so long as they're working together, that seems to work for them. And then the last couple of laps, it's just a sprint. They separate and they go for it. Himself, you get yourself into a winning position, you ditch the bloke that's got you there, and go all right for glory. And just explain, we'll have another look at the picture of what happened with Montoya. I guess Montoya was very lucky because these things were on the track to dry the track out, and they're full of jet fuel. Yeah, and a helicopter engine. Yeah, a helicopter engine with jet fuel, and Montoya lost control. Talk us through exactly what happened to lead to this fireball. Yeah, well, he'd come into the pits for some adjustments to his car, and he'd been complaining of various vibrations. And as he went back, he was trying to catch a pack, but he wasn't at full speed, but he's probably did 120 or so. And something clearly breaks under the car and just pitches him hard right into where this unfortunate guy who's driving the track with this enormous helicopter jet engine on the back of it happens to be. And literally, as he touches it, it just erupts into flames, and they're obviously fueled right up because they use quite a lot of fuel, as you can imagine, as a jet engine. And we've got a picture up here. 3 fire trucks there in the end of it, and it took them a good 15 minutes to put the blaze out. It was amazing. Well, we've got a picture up here of it, and Montoya's car ended up over here, and luckily it looked like bounced off. Sorry, you broke up then. I missed you then. Montoya ended up on the inside of the track. He didn't
remain within the fireball, which was lucky. He kind of bounced off and went to safety. So he sort of wasn't really involved in the fireball that much at all. He just kind of caused it.
Just like his F1 career. Did all right until the end, and then crashes the car.
Montoya, of course, who famously span during a formation lap. Listen, can you tell us when's the next race, and what can we expect from the next race, please, Andrew? Andrew?
He could, if he hadn't gone.
I think we've lost Andrew there in the
Hello?
forest. Hello,
There he
Andrew.
goes.
There you are. Just quickly, could you tell us when's the next race, where, and what can we expect from it?
Sorry.
Sorry, that's what
Sorry,
you can expect from
that's
the next
fine.
race.
So the next race will be sorry. No, I think the next race is
You
next
will be
weekend. It's the 4th, March the 4th in Phoenix.
Phoenix.
So Phoenix from the ashes.
Woo,
So moving on from NASCAR to another sport very close to my heart, which is rallying, and another Andrew should be joining us this time actually on Skype. There he is, Andrew Coley. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks, chaps. How are you?
Yeah, very
Not
good,
bad.
thanks.
He's dressed the set. Have you noticed?
Yeah,
He's dressed
he's
the set
put
nicely.
a Rally Monte Carlo poster up there behind him. That wasn't there last week. So Andrew, you had a busy weekend. You look like you caught the sun down in Bournemouth.
Sorry, say again, Neil.
You look like you caught the sun down in Bournemouth. They were
Yeah,
Sunseeker.
it was we joked about the weather, and I was going to be spending a weekend in the rain, and the weather was fantastic for the first round of the British Rally Championship, and it was awful for the first round of the IRC in the Azores.
They're ironic because the Azores is a beautiful island, Portuguese island in the middle of the Atlantic. So first of all, talk us quickly through your experience of the BRC. From what I can see, the rule changes look like it's a good thing. It's a shame we won't be seeing, you know, the Evos and the Subarus or four-wheel drive through the forests, but more people might come through with the new two-wheel drive rule. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's more people that can afford the top-level machinery that's necessary if you want to fight. What's nice is the rules seem to have attracted young drivers, and they've attracted foreign drivers again. The British Rally Championship used to be where you came before you moved on to things like the World Championship. And we've got Finnish drivers, and we've got 3 manufacturers, Renault, Citroën and Ford, have all signed up. And it was a really great weekend. It was decent competition and cars being driven on the limit, which is what we want to see.
Superb. And the international event in the Azores, the IRC, you predicted Mikkelsen a likely winner, and he was, but it wasn't easy for him, was it?
No, not at all. I mean, it was very much 2 battles at the front. It was Mikkelsen and Hannanen were locked in a very tight battle. The conditions, as I say, were awful, but Mikkelsen can't stop winning. He won his first IRC event at Scotland last year. He then won Cyprus. He's now won the first round this year in the Azores, which is a new record for the IRC, 3 wins in a row. And his confidence just seems to be growing nearly. Great performance. Juho couldn't basically keep up, and in trying to keep up, he had a spin, and that was when the battle was finished. He lost about 15 seconds, and he never recovered from that.
And great to see these Skoda Fabias. They're just such a great piece of kit, aren't they?
Yeah, it's awesome. You'd love to get your hands on one of those. I mean, they're certainly not cheap, but they are fantastic. And Skoda's so serious about the IRC. They've said again that they want to try and win the championship this year, particularly the Manufacturers' Championship. And Peugeot not putting up quite such a fight. They're going to be back next year with a new 208 rally car. They did send a couple of 207s to the Azores, but it was one of them ended up on its roof, I'm afraid. Bruno Magalesh, he crashed his. And Brian Bouffier, he couldn't quite keep up. He wasn't in the latest specification Peugeot. He described it as a fine wine, said it was getting better with age. But the timesheet said differently.
Okay, brilliant. Andrew, we're running out of time. Just quickly, also, there was another rally in the States. Just tell us who won that, because a lot of
that was won by Ken Block for the first time, I think, the 6th time in a row, I think. So great drive by Ken. He narrowly beat David Higgins, who is a bit of a legend in British rallying. So decent battle over there. Good to see the rally scene is growing in the US.
Okay, and quickly, what's next? When will you be able to report next for us? What's the next event?
We've got Rally Mexico coming up in the WRC, and then we've got the second round of the IRC, which is the Canarias. So back to tarmac out in the Canary Islands. So that will be an indicator of who's doing what on the tarmac surfaces in the IRC.
Superb. Andrew Coley, your one-man, everything you need to know about rally. Andrew, you'll join us next time. Thank you very much.
Certainly. Thanks, guys. See you soon.
See ya. And if you want to be involved, please do tweet at STL_thegrid. Tell us you want to come on our Skype wall, and we'll make that happen. But for now, please embrace the gridlock. We'll be back after this short break. Hello and welcome back to The Grid. This is episode 2, part 2, so tighten up your harnesses and engage launch control. Joining me here at Sports Tonight Live for The Grid is Kevin Shepherd.
Hello.
Comedian, and here on the strength of one of the best Formula One based podcasts available in the world, another F1 podcast.
I'm filling up.
Regularly hysterical. We're just about to approaching phase 3 of pre-season testing in F1. What have you noticed so far?
Well, the news so far is that Red Bull are dominant, McLaren not quite good enough, Ferrari are disappointing, the midfield will be tight, and the back three will be rubbish. So I think that's why the cars look so different. They're just going to make sure that we understand we're watching a new one and not repeats of 2012. But HRT have passed a crash test, which is nice. Eventually. And I don't know why they don't just make the car out of cast iron. It's going to go around the back anyway, so what does it matter if it fails a crash test? What else has happened? Lotus had a chassis failure. Apparently their new chassis is very light and failed under pressure. So a bit like Petrov, really. Exactly the same. So what else have we got? Oh, Bernie's signed a deal with Tata Communications, so you can say Tata to getting free.
Boom.
Free F1.
That's the kind of.
What really worries me about this is the guy Eddie Baker has said it gives him the ability to be able to do whatever rights deals he feels right without limitations.
Yeah, there's something fishy about that Tata deal.
Unless you've got no kidneys to sell, you won't be watching F1 next year.
Blimey.
Yeah, bad bonkers Bernie.
Okay.
He's done it again.
And I noticed Heikki Kovalainen tweeted yesterday, bless him, that he was standing at the wrong baggage carousel because he'd forgotten where he'd come in from. He's so blonde. But we should have someone who is right at the heart of all things motorsport, Martin Haven. He's so at the heart of it that he's currently unavailable on Skype. But at this point, if you want to get involved, please do tweet us, Skype us at Sports Tonight TV and also at STL_the grid if you want to tweet us specifically. There is Martin. Martin Haven, hello, sir.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Did we catch you on the hop? What happened there?
No, I'm just trying to get the other camera to work. The built-in one works, so we'll go with that instead.
Fair enough. So, Martin, first of all, you've been wearing your other hat recently, working in bobsleigh and bobskeleton, but now you're back fully in motorsport spec. What can you tell us about the forthcoming Formula One season and what we can expect from the last few days of testing this week?
Well, apparently everybody is the championship winner. All right, not strictly everybody. HRT, whose car wasn't working the last time, and Marussia, whose car hasn't passed all of its crash tests, probably aren't going to win the championship, but based on the times, almost everybody else is. On any given day, at any given time, somebody will be going quicker than everybody else. But fundamentally, it doesn't really look as though anybody has got anything that is going to completely upset the others. So, as we often find in Formula One, things are kind of as they were.
What about the diffuser business? Is there any hope that Red Bull will be slowed down by the difference with the diffuser?
Yes.
There's always hope.
Yes, exactly. There is always hope. Realistically, yes, everybody will be slowed down to a degree by changes to the blown and hot and cold and all of that stuff, diffusers. But fundamentally, before all this came in, remember that Red Bull had a good car that lagged behind because of the double diffuser thing with Brawn in 2009. When those all went away at the beginning of 2010, who had the best car? Red Bull. Okay. Now, when the blown diffusers were added in, that only served really to muddy the water a little. But fundamentally, it seems that Red Bull still have a very good car. They also have a very good driver in a very good car.
Very good driver. In a very
it's very impressive.
Just one.
What's that?
Just one very good driver.
Well, no, they've got a double world champion, so it's hard to see that they're going to be slow. I mean, there's no question that Mark Webber's a very good driver as well, but obviously you look at a man who's dominated the season for the last 2 years as being their, one of their secret weapons, if you like. Mm-hmm. The question perhaps is, what will Ferrari end up doing? How will that change the balance of power? Will they be ahead of McLaren? Will they be able to challenge Red Bull? Or will their very complicated new car end up being a little bit too complicated for the drivers and engineers to work out? And actually, that might be the big question that gets answered this week, because they've been sort of up and down a bit, and if they don't get it right this week, then they're 10 days from Melbourne and not making it through to Q2, which might be a little bit of an issue for them.
Okay, and are we likely to see any kind of David Hay, Chisora style beefs in press conferences this season, do you think, or is that all water under the bridge?
I think more drivers are of the Kimi Raikkonen mould, aren't they, than the beat each other senseless in the stairwell mould. If you want fights on the way to the podium, you probably still ought to look at Superbikes or MotoGP. I think in Formula One there's a little less of that than is in almost any other sport.
Than is necessary. I think we need more of it.
We do, yeah.
We need more.
Well, yeah. Right.
Come on, it makes it interesting. Martin, I think I'm going to be joining you in Monza at the end of next week for the World Touring Cars. So maybe we'll get you on next week to talk about that, to preview the season. Does that sound good?
That sounds like a fine idea.
Okay, Martin Haven, thank you very much, sir, for joining us on the Skype wall. So interesting there, what Martin's saying about Ferrari.
Yeah, he's a very clever man. I think. I hope he's gone. I think I've got a bit of a boy crush.
I knew that would happen. This is like Match.com for petrol heads. Yeah, interesting about Ferrari.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the way they usually do it is they sort of start the season with a slightly ropey car, then just throw money at it, because the entire Italian population is up in arms again. Yeah, so it is interesting.
Making offers they can't refuse.
Yeah.
Now, on the subject of the forthcoming Formula One season, we should have Sam Tremaine on the telephone. Who isn't there yet. I've just been told in my ear. But we're going to talk about the Castrol Edge rankings. And what I can tell you, if you probably do this, you keep an eye on the Castrol Edge rankings. Sort of rank all motorsport professionals. So I think this is still the standings from last year. So Vettel, the top 5 are all Formula One. Then it's IndyCar, then NASCAR, then IndyCar, and then Sebastian Loeb, the 8-time World Rally Champion, is 9th on that list. So it's sort of biased towards F1. So I want to talk to Sam about how that breaks down. But also, we have set up our own league. If you want to get involved in the Grand Prix Predictor, which is free, then please do get in touch with us, and we'll send you a link to be part of the Sports Tonight Live, The Grid League, on which I and Kevin and Natasha, the producer, are already there, ready to make our predictions for Melbourne. So please do get involved. Send us a message. We'll send you the link, and let's get a league going. And for someone who can explain to us how that league's going to work, let's get Sam on the phone. Hello, Sam.
Hello, chaps. How you doing?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Kevin here to my left. Say hello, Kevin.
Hello, Sam.
Hello,
myself.
So you can't see him now. I'm worried that we're going to give you too much to think about for next
crush.
Valentine's Day. So Sam, first of all, explain to us. I'm taking that those rankings are last year's rankings. Nothing's happened. Bearing in mind Latvala's won in Sweden. There's been no update since last year.
No, it's updated every week actually. It's a fairly wide-ranging project. So there is this year we added a New Zealand V8 Championship, which has had 1 round. We've had the World Rally Championship, IRC. So it's updated every week, and there's a fairly constant flow of information coming in.
So explain how Sebastian Vettel and the top 5 are still Formula One, because they haven't done anything yet.
No. Effectively, the ranking system is like any other ranking system in sport. So where you get in tennis, Djokovic is still number 1, and he will continue to be so. I don't know exactly when he might lose it, but effectively it's a rollover system. Rolls over for 12 months. So Vettel's done easily enough based on last year's, to be top for quite a while.
Now, if I was Jari-Matti Latvala, I'd be a bit gutted, because I would have thought my Sweden win would put me straight at the top of that, even if it's just for a week. But it hasn't happened. And do you find that drivers and teams pay attention to this ranking, because it's the one place where all disciplines are kind of matched against each other?
It's an interesting question. We do get emails and interest from drivers asking about why they're in X position or why they haven't moved up.
I love it. I love it. Formula One drivers googling themselves and going, "That's not fair."
So yeah, we do get a bit of interest. We also get a bit of interest from fans in terms of asking why people haven't moved, why positions haven't changed. It's quite a complex system in terms of exactly how it's worked out. The mathematics behind it are a bit beyond my understanding, I have to say. But
that's a shame. I was going to ask, is there any way we could cheat?
And obviously we've set up our own league for the Grand Prix Predictor. Explain to us when that starts, when we can start putting down our predictions for Melbourne.
Well, Melbourne, the predictions will open on the 7th of March.
Okay.
This is a new thing that we brought in for the start of last year. The Grand Prix Predictor essentially is a nice and easy way of playing along with each weekend. So you can predict the top 10 finishers at each Grand Prix this year. You can predict fastest lap, pole position, and most positions gained during the race. It's completely free to play. Couldn't be easier really to sign up and play it. And at the end of the year, there's a significant £20,000 carrot, which is provided by
£20,000.
See Kevin's ears just prick up
hang on
then.
a second.
I should qualify that. It's £20,000 worth of motorsport experiences. So essentially, during 2013, Castrol Edge will send you to you get a menu effectively, and you can pick exactly what you want to go to, up to the equivalent of £20,000. So it might be the Monaco Grand Prix if you want to go to that.
If you just want to go to one race.
Sure. Well, yeah, you can do that plus quite a few extras.
Okay.
Bathurst V8, you can go down to the Gold Coast in Australia.
I think there's a V8 race this weekend, isn't there, in Adelaide, is it?
Yep, it's the opening round.
Cool. Sam, thank you very much. We'll keep in touch with you during the course of the season. And, of course, everyone else get involved with our league in the Predictor. It's nearly time for the end of the show. Thanks, Sam. I just want to say, before we go, we'd like to extend our sympathy to the family and friends of 17-year-old Oscar McIntyre, who was tragically killed during the Australian Superstock 600 race prior to the World Superbike Super Pole at Phillip Island. Very, very sad indeed. Our thoughts are with you all. So that's come to the end of episode 2 of The Grid. Thank you very much to Kevin Shepherd. Thank you to you for watching. Thanks to everyone who got in touch since episode 1. Paul Thompson, David Dwyer, Chris Hopewell, Sean Singleton, Wendy Willits, Catherine Moyes, Adrian Lovell, Juan Carlos Gonzalez, the people at World Rally Blog and Road Magazine. If you want to get involved, your feedback, suggestions, comments, or if you want to appear on our Skype wall, please tweet us at STL_The Grid. Also, from next week, we're going to do quite a nifty thing and have a map of where motorsport is happening that week. So if you want an event you're going to or involved in or competing in to appear on that map, then tell us where it is. We'll literally put it on the map. We seem to be getting loads of new followers, lots of girls, very pretty girls who all share the middle name X on Twitter at the moment.
I've seen some of their videos.
So Kevin, thank you very much again this week. And that's it for The Grid for episode 2. Spread the word and we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.